We are very excited at this time to present the new head coach of the New York Jets, Herman Edwards.
You're excited about opening day, especially being a first-year head coach. We had to play Peyton Manning, I remember that. Didn't turn out like we liked. But as we were driving back to New York, you look at the skyline. It was a beautiful evening, Sunday. And you look at the skyline and said, boy, it's New York City, Tuesday, I can remember sitting in my office. We were at Hofstra, and my window was over here to the left, and about every hour or so I could look out my window and you could always see planes coming in, could see the flight pattern. And you kind of look and you're going, look, and hour went by, no planes. Oh, that's strange.
We were all off, basically. I remember waking up in the morning. I lived in Long Beach in a high rise, and I had a direct view of the city.
So everything was normal, as usual. Tuesday morning, players' day off. A lot of guys go in and lift, get their lift in early or whatever, and that's kind of where I was at.
It's a day that typically there are tryouts, and I was sitting there. I remember the player's name. His name was Tom Barnes. He was a defensive tackle. I think he went to Pitt. Over his shoulder, I could see my office, and my phone was ringing. I was putting it off, and then it rang again. So finally, I went over there. I picked up the phone. I said, Tom, hold on one second. I got to go answer this. And it was my wife on the phone. She goes, turn on the TV. A small plane just flew into the World Trade Center.
I got on the speaker system for the entire building, said, everybody, you have to turn on your television. I said, there's been 2 accidents. We did not know that it was terrorism.
I went down to the coaching staff. They were all down in their rooms. And I said, guys, we got a problem here.
We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that.
I was going over the Gowanus, over the BQE, and it was an early morning. It was beautiful. The sky was bright. I was on the phone with my brother, and I just happened to look up, and I saw that one of the towers was on fire. It was almost like typical New Yorkers. There was somewhat a calm going on. People were just looking at who's videoing, who's taking pictures. And then I would say shortly thereafter, the second plane came in.
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh my God! Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
So the players come in the next day. And you could just tell by their demeanor, we're all shocked. I mean, we've been attacked. You're trying to figure out what to do.
When we came in the next day, the buzz started talking about, preparation for that week. Guys were really not thinking football.
Nobody's mind was on practice. You couldn't help to think about it. Vinny Testaverde is from, Elmont, which is right in Long Island. His dad's helped build the World Trade Centers. Wayne Corbett lives in New Jersey.
The people in this locker room have neighbors who are missing. Our children's friends in schools don't have dads and moms anymore.
We went out on the field. About 40 minutes into practice, I said, let's go back in. So remember Vinny, Vinny was coach, and I go, hey, I get it.
Vinny stood in front of the team and said, in light of who he was as a New Yorker, Long Islander, if the commissioner makes us play this game, you're going to make the trip to Oakland without me as your starting quarterback.
I don't even understand why we're here today. I think all games should be canceled this week.
It was a time that, I felt like as professional athletes and professional teams in New York really had to come together and lead that charge.
You will see the reports, coming out of New York, in particular with the Jets. Our players were just real vocal about what they wanted to do.
I was a player rep for the New York Jets at the time. So immediately after that happened, Gene Upshaw from the union called me and wanted to know what's going on in New York. The only thing that kept coming up was when John F. Kennedy got shot. Back then, the commissioner went ahead and played games that following week. And so this was going to be paramount to that. It's going to be one of those kind of decisions for Major League Sports, and in particular the NFL.
I was on the conference call where all of our reps around the country got on the phone and made the decision not to play football that weekend. When Kevin Mawai, he was on the phone, he said, guys, there's no way we can play football because all I see is smoke, and all I see is what's going on in our facility, what's going on in our city. There's no way to do it.
And I told the guys, the members on the phone call, that I want you guys to know that the New York Jets have voted to forfeit this week. That evening or the next morning, the commissioner made the announcement that all games would be canceled that week.
This was bigger than football. This was bigger than Sunday playing a game. This was bigger than being the head coach. This was being an American. What do you do as an American when something happens like this? the first thing that you think about is how can I help?
The initial goal was to go down to ground zero as a team and go help and lend support to the first responders.
Whatever we could do to help the people of New York, we needed to do that.
The ones that were heralded as the heroes were the first ones to go in, the firefighters and the police officers, and they lost their lives trying to save other people.
It was emotional, to say the least, and I think that even made you feel better about the decision you made in the meeting room. When you see it on television, it's one thing, but when you actually go down there and you see it, it's still smoldering, the devastation of it. And as I said on Sunday night, I went by the trade centers. I looked at them. Tuesday, they're gone.
First time I got down there was about 9 p.m. on the night of September 12th. And the streets were closed. I parked the fire truck in front of City Hall. We walked 2 blocks to the Trade Center site. And it was the most incredible thing I saw. Just see the lighting and the cranes that they were bringing in. And it looked like a movie set. It just, you couldn't believe this, to see parts of the World Trade Center on its side on Church Street.
It was tough. It was something people say we should never forget, and America should never forget, but I tell you, I would give you 5 years off my life if I could forget.
It had a strange feel to it because it was almost like, even though it had only been a couple of weeks, it just hadn't felt like we played. It felt like it was the first time the team had played in a year.
Clay Hampton was able to secure first responder hats, FDNY, NYPD, and Port Authority. Really made me feel proud.
I remember a few guys like Kevin Mawai, Wayne Corbett, coming over and hugging me. And as you know, before each game, we kneel down in prayer. And, well, I guess I kind of lost it.
A lot of tears in the eyes, especially when the national anthem was sung. And I can remember the firemen coming out holding the flags. It was powerful. There was not a dry eye on the sideline, on both sidelines, trust me.
I don't know if there was a dried-eyed person in the stadium.
It was electric. Joe Andruzzi played offensive guard for the Patriots. His brothers were firefighters from New York City.
He comes running down the ramp, and they're just announcing him, and he's got flags in his hand. It was the first step in getting back to normalcy, just to have football again and realize this is America's pastime.
We're playing for a sense of pride, not for the Jets, for the Patriots, or the Shield. We're playing for the pride of America.
That team, what they've gone through, the past few days of the week prior, it's almost like you wanted to comfort your brother.
As I sit here today, and this happened 15 years ago, every opening day in the National Football League since that event, I always just say a prayer, because it was just unbelievable. And it was, now it's a little bit of our history. It's a little bit of the past, but it never leaves my brain. It never leaves my brain. On opening day, I always reflect back on that day of 9/11.